Trojan fans, welcome to a very special edition of the Peristyle Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, joined alongside Mr. Triple Double himself, Connor Morrissette. We got a regular show coming, but to start, we have to do another one of our House of Victory interviews. We had a great time with Jean-Ray Reed, Big General, last week. Thanks again to House of Victory. Now we got Big Jaw here, Jamaal Jarrett, the transfer from Georgia. Close to 350-pound defensive tackle. It makes a whole different – the number 0 has never looked as good as we see with Big Jaw in there. But thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me.
The shot looks great. Now, we told Connor last week it was awesome. But I know you did some interview. You did a little interview yesterday after practice, Big Jaw. So we're expecting some big things for you. But, again, thanks for coming on. This is great stuff, and it's good to hear from you. I don't know, what's it been like so far, just your first few months on campus at USC?
Really, it's been cool. I kind of got used to things pretty fast. You know, it took me about a good week to really get used to the system out here as far as like class scheduling and stuff like that. But it's really home, and you can get used to it. It grows on you pretty fast too. So it's pretty nice. My teammates have helped me get used to the area too.
Good stuff. Well, I'm going to put up, this House of Victory has set up this interview, and we've been doing it for the last couple of years, so we really appreciate being able to work with them. And there's a QR code there. Actually, when I put up the screenshot of the lone shot of Jamaal, you can see the new campaign, The Place to Be. We've got the graphic for that now. So if you scan the QR code, you can donate to House of Victory there. But Big Joe, I wanted to talk to you about what you saw. I know you had an event recently where you were working. I got some pictures here. And you're kind of talk about your work with House of Victory so far since you've been at USC.
Man, I love what they do. I love how they bring the team together to do nice events like this. And really, one of the events that really had me was we were helping out with the wildfire people, and like they had me and Kobe Pepe lifting a lot of stuff. And it was just like a fun event for me to, get to be around my new teammates and, get to know everybody and work together as a team to help unload the trucks and stuff like that. So it was a good team bonding thing. I took it as a team bonding type of project. And I didn't really look at it as like helping for real, but we helped a lot of people just while bonding with each other as teammates.
Yeah, they Haley sent me some photos, and I put the, if you're watching on YouTube or your Facebook, we're live on YouTube and Facebook, by the way. And thanks for doing this one live. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see it, but there's I don't know what you're lifting here, but this is massive. Like, you're a big guy.
That was a dog cage. I remember that one. It was some big dog.
A dog cage.
Yeah, it was a big dog cage, and somebody donated it. They're like, whoever has a big pet or a couple pets that need a small shelter, here's a little house for them. So they had me lift that off the truck, and it was a tough one for sure.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, that was weird too, because you just get to campus, right, and then these fires are going on. Like that had to be like a really wild, like this.
It was crazy. I was like, dang! As soon as I get to LA, it's burning down. Like, golly.
I know, it was nuts. Even it was a big international story. I was traveling internationally, and people were talking. I was over in Hawaii for the Polynesian Bowl, and then I went over to Japan, and people were asking me about it there. I'm like, well, this is a big deal, but yeah. So that's got to be a weird indoctrination to Los Angeles for you.
As soon as I get off the plane, I'm like, wow.
That is crazy. Jamaal, so you come to USC, you get right involved with House of Victory. Who out of your teammates have helped you with this adjustment?
Really, who's really been mentoring me since I got here was, Dev and, Kobe Pepe, guys like that. They've really just been, open their arms up, and took me in. And, like, they taught me the way. They taught me how to go about, approaching school and stuff like that. And they're really helping me become a better teammate as well, especially with the younger guys that we got that are here.
So last week I asked this to Big General, and we could have walked out of the room for like 10 minutes. He gave this really long story, but his journey, and his was a little different. He wasn't a big recruit out of high school, so he talked about sort of being a zero-star guy, JC, back and forth, and going to Syracuse and ending up at USC. Maybe let the fans that aren't familiar with sort of your journey, coming out of North Carolina, going to Georgia for a couple of years, like what was that process like, and then ending up going into the portal and ending up at USC?
Really, so started off in high school. I was recruited by Coach Trey Scott and Coach Kirby Smart, and really, they had that run stopper build for me, and I got to Georgia, following after the greats like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Devontae Wyatt, and all of them. And I just love their style of play. I love their game. And I wanted to mirror my game after that and get developed to kind of play similar to them. But then I realized that, pass rushing, gets the bills paid, So me being a run stop type of guy, I want to be able to incorporate pass rush in my game as well. So I feel like coming here with Coach Henney, it's going to help me, work my pass rush, work my hands and skills a little bit more, develop them, teach me, ball smarts and stuff like that so I can make the game even simpler and easier for myself. So I feel like USC is going to help me with that. And it was just a great decision I feel like I made for myself. And, coming from Georgia, the best of the best, and then you have USC with new coaches and brand new start, I feel like it was a great business decision for me to, bet on myself and, work on my techniques and things I need to get worked on.
I know you've only been here for a few spring practices so far, but are there any differences between practices at Georgia, practices at USC outside of maybe always being outside here in LA?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shocked me when they said they didn't have an indoor facility yet. I was like, so when it rains, what are we gonna do? They're like, oh yeah, we practice in the rain around here. I was like, okay, sound cool to me, so we got to get used to that. But it's really nice, as far as Georgia's practices, it's very similar as far as the periods and stuff like that. But the intensity level is really great on both sides. I feel like defensively and offensively, we're bringing that energy every day in practice, and it's very similar.
You mentioned kind of the hand placement thing. I took this photo the other day. I'll put it up there if you can see it. Of you do now. There's the pads that with the numbers on it. Is that like a hand placement thing? Is that something that you guys use for technique? I wasn't sure. And
someone necessarily we use it we really use it for technique and as far as aiming points, certain angles to hit, certain angles for our hands to be placed. It's a great little technique we use. Coach Henney introduced me to as far as what exact number to hit, or if your hand slides up, just certain directions and stuff. It really helps with your hand placement, and I'm gonna be using that for sure.
That's really interesting. So Jamaal, when you enter the portal, I know right now with the current climate of college football, it's crazy. I'm sure a bunch of schools were contacting you. What was that process like, and how ultimately did you land at USC?
It felt just like, being a recruit again. It was just like sitting down, bubbling each school, taking the pros and cons of each school, separating and making that final decision. It was pretty hard, just like how it was, the start of it during the first recruiting process. But I feel like USC just had a lot to offer as far as the coaching and the development standpoint. Coach Henney, Coach Sky with their background, and then you have Coach Anua, being younger in the recruiting process. Coach Anua had offered me when he was at Michigan. And he just sounded like a real cool guy from then. And, him transferring and going to, USC, I kind of just ended up with him. So I was just like, man, this is cool. I got a cool 3. I got a great 3 as far as D-line staff. I believe in Coach Landon. It's just like I see the vision here, and I'm just ready to work for him.
As far as the defensive line group, that room, we were here at practice last year watching it. And it just looks different now with you there, Big Jaw. I guess you got Little Jaw, like Jamaal there. But it I don't know what it feels like to you, but it just from what we saw last year, it looks like it's been completely transformed. And I don't know. It seems like a group that can make a lot of noise this season.
Yes, sir. And with our young guys, especially like Floyd Buchard, Cash Jacobson, we have some guys, man, and Jade really stood out to me as far as Cam. Like our whole room, everyone's very talented, from the youngest guy to the oldest guy. Everyone's unique in their own type of gameplay and game style, and it's awesome.
It certainly is deeper than it's been with Lincoln Riley here at USC. Yesterday, Ja, you mentioned how the defensive line reminded you of who you were working against at Georgia, that the room was similar to USC's and Georgia's. Can you elaborate on that? Is it the depth? Is it the size? What about this USC defensive line group reminds you of Georgia's?
Really just the dog mentality, playing with guys like Jordan Hall and Christian Miller, Nnamdi Agboko, the list goes on, Joseph Jonah Ajanye. There are a bunch of young guys that, are very unique and have different play styles, and, they execute really well. And you see a lot of similarities here in our defensive line room as well. You have some vets, you have some young guys, and everyone's good at what they do, whether it's playing the run, pass rushing, footwork, speed. Everyone's like like has their own power damn near, and I feel like we make our own like Avenger style type of unit when we're all play together as one.
Is the Thanos thing come up? Is that nickname stick, or is that like one of those like we're not going to call you that? What's that like?
It comes out every now and then, but we don't really, we call him Jakeem, King, Big King, whatever little nicknames. But Thanos, it comes out every now and then.
I was going to say, like, it's one of those things. Like, I don't know if everyone's going to call him that, but that's kind of funny. Well, you mentioned the Marvel thing. Do you have any? What are like your goals for this spring? I guess you guys are about a third of the way through. You guys got practice tomorrow, and then the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday thing. But your kind of personal goals for the spring.
Really, I just want to, Coach Lincoln Riley. He's just a offensive mastermind. So I just want to challenge myself to learn ball a little bit more, get into a deeper standpoint of ball. I want to know like different formations, how I can read offensive linemen even better, stuff like that. So I can have a little cheat code for, upbringing for my game. I feel like if I work on the little techniques of the game, focus on the little things, hand placement, footwork, alignment, block recognition, stuff like that, I honestly feel like it's going to up my game up even more, and I'm just going to, turn up.
Ja, is anyone standing out to you on the offensive line? Have you had the chance to go up against Big General or Alani Noah or DJ Wingfield? Who's impressed you on the O-line?
General for sure. And, Lonnie's he's a great teammate. He's a great guy, outside of the field. And he's a quiet giant, man of few words, but he's a cool guy. He helps me, he's really strong. So, a player like me who's strong as well. It's just always a great competition going against those two guys.
Talking about strength, I mean, it's one of those things you get to do workouts with the team, Benny Wiley and their group. Like, did you sort of have goals for that as far as like what you wanted to be, strength-wise, weight-wise, or anything, along those lines?
Yeah, Benny Wiley and his staff, Coach Martinez, like them my guys. We built that relationship quick as soon as I got here, and I feel like the vision they have for me and the vision I have for myself is awesome. And like as far as my goals, I just want to keep getting stronger to prevent injury and stuff like that. As far as the weight and stuff, manage it, get it lower, get as low as I can, and it's just really that's the goal. Just focus on the things I can control.
So it sounds like right now I think you're listed at 349. Ideally in the fall, do you want to get down to like 340, 335, or what's the game plan there?
Currently, I'm at like 345, 344, but I'm gonna push myself to at least get to mid 30s, probably low 30s.
Awesome. And Jamaal Jarrett, or your Jamaal Jarrett, Keyshawn Silver is the other big defensive line transfer to USC added. He's also from North Carolina. I know he hasn't had a chance to go full yet because he's dealing with an injury, but he was 2 years in front of you in that class in North Carolina. You're 2023, he was 2021. Did you have much of a relationship with him being a top recruit from North Carolina? Sure. Yeah, can you tell me about your friendship and just when you met him and what your relationship is?
Yes,
what
sir.
your relationship was like with him?
Being a hometown guy in North Carolina, visiting UNC Chapel Hill, Keyshawn Silver was my host, so it just brings back, Tamari Fox and all them over there at UNC, respect to them. When I was visiting there and coming up then as a recruit, they kind of showed me the ways of college ball, what to look at and stuff like that. So me and Keyshawn Silver go way back. He's kind of been like that big brother role here as well, helping me evaluate my game and pushing me through practice and giving me tips and tricks to work on. So he's really just been that big brother role for me as he's been in the past.
We had a question on the chat. So we're live on YouTube and Facebook, and PM in the chat wants to know if you have some guys that you're talking to in the portal to come join USC, especially guys from Bama. Now, the portal's not open yet, so we don't want any tampering allegation, but would you get involved with that? I mean, like, are you a player that does like to get involved in the recruiting process?
Not necessarily, get involved, but if we need somebody on our team and I feel like I have a pull towards that, I would use that. You feel me? I'm trying to make our team as great as we can be.
Jamaal, talking about the fundamentals and the hand placement, what's your relationship with the zero technique and the three technique? Do you have a favorite style? Just take me through some of that nitty-gritty defensive line stuff.
I'm real old school with it. I'm your typical ball rush, big unit in the middle, And I feel like I can evaluate my game and make it even better and quicker by playing the 3 technique, 4-eye, whatever they need me at, really. Like, I just want to show that I'm a versatile athlete and I'm a big man that can move. And I feel like you can be able to put me anywhere in the 3, a shade, a 0. I feel like I'll be able to do good in all 3 and just showcase my talent.
We had a few questions from the Peristyle, our message board over at uscfootball.com, if you don't mind doing a couple of those. A. Cortman 17, who are you going up against in practice, and who's the toughest inside offensive lineman you faced at USC?
I feel like each and every one of our old linemen, they bring that fire, they bring that juice, starting with the vets and then the young bucks, trying to prove themselves quick. That it's really intense. They really bring the energy, and I respect the hell of our old line for that, because they're working hard, they're getting coached hard, and they just want to prove themselves as well. So I feel like I'm getting a good look all across the board.
With Danton Lynn, we've seen some guys play all over the defensive line. Jakeem Stewart's done both. Devin Tompkins has bounced inside and outside. Jade Abasiri's bounced inside and outside. I know you're probably pretty exclusively on the inside, but as a defensive lineman, how valuable is versatility? Danton Lynn really values that trait, and just what does that mean to you? What is it like for you to see a lot of these guys play on the inside and the outside?
It's awesome. It's a blessing, really, because it's like wherever we need them, we know they have experience in playing both positions. Like, they're just not a one-trick pony. They're a multiple-trick pony. They can go anywhere around the board and turn up. So I feel like that's an advantage that we have as a team. We have a lot of guys that are versatile and can play 1, 2, 3 positions, and it's just awesome that we have that in our pool.
We had a question on the Peristyle from USC TJ. What separates Coach Henne and his style of coaching from other coaches you may have reached out to you in the portal?
I feel like Coach Henne, like I said in the interview the other day, he brings a certain style to the game that I respect. He brings that swagger back into the typical D-line from back in the day, 90s, early 2000s D-line swagger, where they're just aggressive. They're just here to destroy, you feel me? And I feel like Coach Henne and Coach Sky and them, they bring out that aggressive, attitude that a D lineman should have, and they're really going to help you showcase that, and I respect that.
Even without Keyshawn being full go right now, the competition in the middle of the defensive line, there's just so many bodies, so many guys who are competing. What do you feel like you're doing, Jamaal, to separate yourself from the competition in these practices?
Really, everyone runs their own marathon, so, me personally, I'm focusing on my strength and my weight conditioning and stuff like that, the things I can control to make myself a better player. But really, it's just my hands. I'm working on my hands, my footwork, speed, and stuff like that. And I feel like it's going to help, improve my game. And I feel like everyone across the board, like we're all real unified. So, we're not necessarily competing, but we're all just trying to see each other get better.
Hook 86 on the Peristyle. Everyone always wants to know, like, what's different from your previous school. I know it's always kind of weird to get into, but he wanted to talk about, like, the coaches, like, what they're teaching. Maybe just kind of focus on, like, well, this is what USC's kind of been focused teaching-wise. And, yeah, maybe it's different, maybe it's not at Georgia. But what would you say, like, the kind of focus is as far as the defensive line teachings have been?
Well, really being with Trey Scott and UGA, I was put into, like, the Pete Jenkins type of system as far as learning defensive line, the old school strike, hand block, come out your hips, feet, hands, and hips. It's a great structure that was taught to me. It's really improved and changed my game coming out of high school. I was kind of raw when I came out of high school, just really ready to learn as much as I could, and I really intercepted the piece that Coach Trey Scott put in my game. I always respect them for that. I respect Georgia for that. And I feel like Coach Henne, was different from his coaching style. It's like he just wants you to be that dominant, aggressive person. He wants you to hit somebody and knock them back. He wants you to drive the guy in front of you, like just show dominance and change and be that piece in the middle of the defense. So I respect that as well, and I feel like both coaches are great, and Coach Henne's going to help me, develop my game even more.
Trojan 21 fan wants to know, did you have a favorite football player or athlete of any sport growing up?
Well, really, I didn't really start off with football. I was a soccer player, basketball player when I was younger. Football kind of came in my life around 7th, 8th grade, and took it on from there. I'll say my favorite team, though, just because I support Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and all my guys that I've seen, get developed from Georgia. I'm gonna say the Eagles right now.
Yeah.
And the team that's so it's been pretty cool supporting them.
I can't imagine you playing soccer. Like that would be wild.
I was a pretty good goalie defending that. I was getting out there back in the day. Man.
That's pretty awesome, man. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna try to tackle that guy.
Have you had In-N-Out Burger yet? That's another big question.
Not yet, fam. Like, everyone looks at me crazy when they're like, "You never had In-N-Out?" I was like, "Not yet, bro. I'm gonna try it." Man.
What was your go-to like fast food in North Carolina or Georgia?
South, you got your Waffle House, you got your Cookout. Those are my two.
Cookout. Okay, I don't think I've done Waffle House a bunch. That's good. Like the smothered and covered.
Yeah. Or you get the All-Star play. You got your go-tos, but. Yeah. Down south Cookout, we had one right by my high school. That was like the meetup spot for lunch every day. So
all right,
that was the spot for me.
I think you're like In-N-Out. You could try the animal style or whatever. The fries, it's sort of an acquired taste. People are. Are you, Connor? You're not big in In-N-Out, are you?
No, I'm big on In-N-Out, but the fries, not the best, but big on the burgers.
Yeah, the burgers are great, and the shakes are really good too. So
we had this place called Shake and Shack too.
Oh, I love that spot. Yeah, like when I go to the South, it's just like. I feel like I'm gonna put on a lot of.
Yeah, you got some options out there for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Annenberg grad, who's an NFL nose tackle you admire and why?
Grady Jarrett. He's been like a mentor for me as well. I found out we had the same last name. I contacted him. I was like, "Are we related?" And he was like, "I don't think so, fam, but we just been cool since." And he's been showing me his games and his techniques and stuff like that. So it's just been really great, just having him and I have Jalen Carter. I have a bunch of other teammates. It's a lot of film to be watched. There's a lot of role models to study.
We saw that clip of Jacoby Lane making that crazy one-handed catch. Have there been any guys who have really impressed you with just like standout plays or their ability kind of made you go, oh my goodness? Because that Lane catch certainly made me have that reaction. Have you had that reaction from him or anyone else?
I feel like USC fan base should look in the trenches more. I feel like a lot of our big guys have been surprised. Like these young bucks are, I don't know, fam, but I don't know what's in the water out here. these young guys, they come into work, and I feel like they're learning. They learn really fast out here, and it's really impressive because there's some techniques that will take 2-3 weeks to develop, and these freshmen are eating it up like that. You can see them progress and get better throughout the week, and I feel like the trench game is going to be different. I feel like players like Jade, Cam Fountain, like it's just scary to see someone so young get developed so fast. And these guys, they love to work. Their work ethic is crazy, and it reminds me of some of the players at Georgia.
SoCal fan MV says, so I asked you about the Thanos thing. He wants to know about the general, like big general. Does the defensive line call Reed general or big general, or do you guys just laugh? Like, what is that?
We literally call him General or Reed. Literally, General Reed sometimes. Like, that's our guy for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that would make sense. That is a little bit different than the Thanos nickname.
Yeah.
We can wrap up, Jamaal. So you're Big Jaw, Jakeem Stort's Little Jaw, as you said yesterday. I don't know how many people are 290 pounds like Jakeem Stort go by Little Jaw. Is that all like fun and games with just a friendly back and forth with you guys? What's your relationship like with him?
Really, me and Jakeem, we locked in really before he started blowing up. Me and him known each other for a little bit now. Even when I was playing at Georgia, I was talking to him. We would both evaluate each other's games and, support each other. And it was just a brotherly love from then. And I'm always going to have his back. I'm always going to support him as a player. I love his work ethic, and I love what he does as a player as well. So, yeah, we have that bond that kind of goes way back.
One last thing for me, and we'll let you go. We really appreciate the time. Thanks again for coming on. But I know you got off the plane and, like, LA was on fire. But what is it, outside of the fires, it's been a couple months, just the Los Angeles experience. A lot of people move out here just from wherever and fall in love, or like, have you liked it so far? The big city life and everything. Has it been to your liking?
I really like a person like me. I really stay to myself. So being out here in LA, it's been a vibe, and like there's so many beaches out here, and it's like it's all in my in the palm of my hand. Like, I can go to a beach here, a beach there. So I've really just been going out there, just seeing what's out there. I want to try and go see a Hollywood sign sometimes. Just, packed with spring ball.
You can see that from campus.
You feel me? I'm trying to get a good view. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get used to that. But there's a lot of stuff on my to-do list out here that I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. If you go to Hollywood and Highland, so they have like a little like shopping center and stuff there. There's like little balconies that are like walkways, and there's a pretty good view from there. But there's different streets you can Google too, and you can even hike up behind the sign, which is kind of fun. But if you just go to Hollywood, Hollywood and Highland, you can get a pretty good picture from there.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I got to give you the applause. Amazing stuff. We really appreciate you coming on. This is great. I know every time we've had guys come on, we've just had so much fun with them, and they've been great. It's nice for us to kind of see more of your personality instead of like a 5-minute interview after practice and stuff. And I think, especially now in this NIL era, get your, people can see, oh, this is a guy we want to represent our products or whatever. So we appreciate you coming on.
I respect your fan base too. Like, having the dog fan base and everything, is really supportive. But y'all really show y'all love and support for this team. I respect that. So I'm gonna give y'all my all, just like how y'all are giving me y'all all. So.
Oh, sweet. Well, I think let me put up the one shot of you. If you want to do a fight on, we'll get like a screenshot from this. This will be good. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That'll be our screenshot. So thank you so much. Big Jaw, thanks for coming on. Everyone else, we'll let you go. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back in a minute. But thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Jamaal.
Appreciate it, Joe.
All right, everyone, back in a minute. All righty, we're back.
Another great one.
Holy cow, he's awesome.
Yeah, great interview, and I think he's going to have a chance to be a good player here. So we'll see.
When you talk to people and you're just like, I feel pretty confident. Like, there's certain people you talk to, you're like, yep, that's going to work. Like when we talked to Matt Entz the first time, I was like, yep, he's going to be good. You talk to Rob Ryan, you're like, yep, he's going to be good. Certain players, we talked to Big General last week, you're like, yeah, he's going to be good. I get the same vibe from like Big Jaw, like, okay, this guy's going to be good. Like it's okay, whatever. He's played sparingly at Georgia and all this stuff, but you just get a feeling like, all right, he's going to come in and this is going to work for him.
Seems like a good teammate and a good guy too.
Yeah, like which you love. And again, thanks to House of Victory for putting these up. I'll put that big, if you're watching, I'll put up on the screen and the QR code. If you want to donate to that, it's like under me if you're watching right now. But if you want to donate to their Place to Be campaign and all that, we appreciate them setting this up. But, I think it works for everybody. I mean, it's great for us. Like for us, we're creating content, and to be able to talk with a player at length is amazing. But I think, certainly getting House of Victory's name out there more. And I think for the players, like they're marketing themselves too. So it's different talking in a locker room for 5 minutes after a thing. And, they have their own social media. They can post stuff there. But to let people see his personality and, seems like a really good person and a really good teammate, like you said. And I think like last year when we talked to Woody Marks, I think a lot of fans kind of got on board and they wanted to follow him. And then he ends up being like the MVP of the team. So it's cool, to give fans like sort of an inside look at what's really behind these guys. And there's some really good dudes on the team, and Big Jaw's like another one of them.
Yeah, he seems like a really good guy, and appreciate the insight too, where we're talking about Jacoby Lane. I brought him up, and he's like, you guys got to focus on the trenches. The guys in the middle are really impressing. The young guys are really great. I mean, that video of Cash Jacobson was crazy too, where he just had a really good rep against one of the younger offensive linemen for USC. So you can see the vision when Lincoln Riley says a couple of years ago, we want to get this thing to a championship level, and the areas of the program that aren't championship level, we want to get there. I don't know if the defensive line is a 100% championship level line right now, but certainly going in the right direction. You can't argue that.
Yeah, Joey said he's such an awesome dude. He's going to do great things here. I can tell he has that excitement and is ready to go. Yeah, I mean, he definitely felt good about that. And Blackie Chan pointed out Grant G, I guess on Twitter, he's going to match donations for House of Victory. So if you do want
Shotgun retweeted it too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So go check that out. And I guess he will match, or I don't know if you have to tweet at him or whatever, however that works. But if you do want to donate to House of Victory in their new campaign, he would be, he's going to be someone that matches it, which is cool. Okay. So we're into things I want to mention. We didn't get to talk about at the top of the show. Trader Joe's I was just there this morning, Connor.
I was there last night.
Pick up a few things. I haven't had the sourdough loaf, so I picked that up. I'm going to make some sandwiches. I bought some of the ready-made chicken breast. Oh, I forgot cheese. I need to go back and get the cheese. Crap. And now I remember it. But chicken breast and like tomatoes, and I bought the romaine lettuce hearts, and then some avocado and some red onions. We're going to make some cool sandwiches. Probably later today after the show, so I'll do that. But go check it out over at Trader Joe's. All kinds of cool stuff over there. What'd you do last night there?
Just picked up some cheese. Sorry to rub it in.
Dang, I forgot the cheese. Yeah.
So some veggies for a nice chicken stir fry.
Oh, okay.
Very
Nice.
good.
Yeah, I haven't bought the they had a few different kinds of like cooked chicken that you can like make for sandwiches or salads and stuff. So I'm going to try that. And check it out. But yeah, go check out Trader Joe's. They've been great to us. Sorry to get to mention at the top, but we had our interview. I didn't get to go to practice last night. I was at Manhattan Beach Country Club. Olive Crest was a charity I've been involved with for a while. Matt Leinart, you guys know, and his wife Josie Leinart. They had a 2-month-old that they brought to the event, but they had a fundraiser thing last night, so I was there. And Pete Carroll made a surprise appearance, so that was kind of fun. But I saw some former players like Will Poole and Brandon Hancock and Jim Abbott were there, and of course Matt Leinart, and he's cool to talk to and stuff. It's funny seeing him in dad mode and everything, but Pete Carroll like came from campus because he had his class, and Rainn Wilson was the guest speaker at his class, the guy from The Office. So Dwight from The Office was like the guest speaker there, which is kind of funny. And then comes in hot, Manhattan Beach Country Club, gives a little talk, starts taking questions from the audience, and then heads to the airport. He had to fly back to Las Vegas.
I was going to say, hopefully he's going back to his real job.
Yeah, he's got his real job. So it was definitely fun. It was fun to see. I haven't seen him for a while, and yeah, I'd asked him about like the decision to come back, and he talked about being fired. Your Patriots fired him, and Belichick came in, and of course the rest is history there. But he he had winning records when he was at the Patriots, but they still fired him. I guess because they wanted Belichick or whatever. But he's like, it wasn't really. I asked him about the decision. He's like, it wasn't a decision. Like, he didn't like. I don't think he really wanted to retire from. It was more of like a mute. Like they kind of came to some kind of agreement. So he was really looking to still be a coach. And I know he's older, but he's got a lot of energy. So it was cool to see him. So that's why I wasn't at practice. But you were. Shout out to Riley. Riley Sager did the instant analysis with you. So we got some new blood doing that. I did it last week, but. Any kind of highlights from practice yesterday?
With injuries, some pretty good news. We were afraid Killian O'Connor, the backup center, had a knee injury on Tuesday, and we were fearful that he was going to be out into the fall. But Riley talked about how O'Connor hopefully could be back by the end of spring, but it's probably more likely he'll be back by the beginning of fall camp. So that was good to hear when it looked like it might have been a worse situation. And then Mekhi Lemon's dealing with a hamstring injury, so he hasn't been full go. But it doesn't seem like they're too nervous about that. So right now, the impact guys heading into next season who aren't 100% and aren't doing everything with the pads, it's Mekhi Lemon, Anthony Lucas, and Keyshawn Silvers. So I expect all three of those guys to have big years, but right now they're not fully active.
We also had some news. I don't know if you'll say breaking news, but that's loud. Sorry. Marion Peterson is in the portal. It's funny. I'd taken photos of him at practice on last week on Thursday, or maybe it was yesterday, or maybe it was Tuesday. And then it came like afterwards or like on Wednesday or whatever that he was going in the portal.
Not a big surprise. I was a little surprised he hadn't entered earlier. Gerard made a good point, and he said if who's the kid who went to Texas Tech? Quentin Joyner, if he hadn't have left, then maybe that if Joyner was still here, Peterson probably would have already be gone, but he ended up leaving, and so maybe Peterson thought, I'll see if I can compete with some of these new guys, and it looks to me like he's just at the lower end of the totem pole still, which isn't a big surprise. Brian Jackson beat him out last season as a guy who was younger than him, and he just wasn't really involved, so not a very surprising move, and wish him the best.
Yeah. Blackie Chan says, wish him the best. He was just getting lost in the shuffle. Yeah. But yeah, he was out there at practice. He wasn't there yesterday.
No,
right?
not there yesterday, so
Yeah.
he's done.
I think I got photos of him, Thursday and also on Tuesday. And then like soon afterwards is when we found out he was in the portal. So
And I like the running back room even without him. I think you have three guys in Wayman Jordan, Brian Jackson, and Eli Sanders who are all going to play a role. Riley has been hesitant to play three running backs. We've seen a lot of two running backs, and even last year we were hoping to see more of Quentin Joyner, but it was the Woody Marks show and then a little bit of Joyner. I think this upcoming season we will see three running backs, and then to have two or three freshmen, Riley Wormley and Harry Dalton. I might be forgetting another freshman, but to have like youthful first year, fourth and fifth string guys, I think that's the way to go. So three impact guys and then some guys for the future. I still like the makeup of the room a lot.
and there was a new analytics guy hired.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
We didn't get a chance to ask Lincoln Riley about that. I wish we did. I don't want to butcher the guy's name, but it's Connor something, same name as me, spells it differently. But
Spells it correctly or just kidding.
to each their own. His name is Connor McQuiston, and he's the new analytics guy. I think this was a Chad Bowden hire, right? That he wanted to bring him on. Bowden is very analytical, and just reading more about him and just listening to what he said, I think he really values that middle eight, and Notre Dame always tried to win that middle eight last 4 minutes.
It was a big deal,
Of the first half, first four of the second half, and that will be a big emphasis. McQuiston has worked with PFF, the Arizona Cardinals, Next Gen Stats. He was most recently at Prize Picks. Gerard and I actually met him. He was at the Elite 11 regional a couple weeks back at Miracosta High School. He was just talking to some of the reporters. I had no idea that he was even up for this job, so I've at least made contact with this guy. And yeah, I can't speak to exactly what his role will be. I'm sure it's going to be a big scouting component, self-scouting, scouting the portal, scouting high school guys. But like in terms of the in-game stuff, like fourth down from the 42-yard line, kick or go, like I don't know how much of an impact he'll have there. I imagine he will run scenarios, and there will be numbers that he could present to the coaching staff. Of course, the coaching staff will have the final say. So he seems more of a scouting piece to me, but like, of course, there's so much that goes into football from an analytical perspective now, and I would imagine he'll have some ideas on how USC should play every Saturday. So we'll see how big of a role he has, and let's see how much we can learn as spring camp rolls on. I'm sure we'll get a question to Riley about him and what his role will be specifically.
Yeah. Also, one of the things Riley talked about yesterday after practice was this house settlement. I want to get your thoughts. So people's eyes glaze over, but I think Monday is the day that's supposed to be, we'll find out if it's approved and, legal challenges, all that stuff. But what was Riley's sort of take on this house settlement?
He just hopes it's legal, that if it gets taken to court, like he was talking about the enforcement arm. So like the $20.5 million that you can give to athletes, that is going to be legal if that is if that goes through on Monday. But Riley was asked specifically about the enforcement arm, where Deloitte, the company, will have the clearinghouse, and every NIL deal has to go through that company if it's of a certain value. And then there's also the conferences, the power conferences, trying to create an enforcement arm to make sure all the NIL deals are on the level. But ESPN wrote a really good story earlier this week about both of the enforcement arm entities, and they just asked, how is this going to be legal? Because if a guy goes to a certain school and gets paid a ton of money, like that's his that's how much he deserves to get. What's the word I'm looking for? Like that's his value.
Yeah.
Like just because that might not make sense everywhere, like pay for play is pretty much legal. If a guy wants to pay another guy $10 million to go to USC and he wouldn't have sniffed more than $1 million anywhere else, like, yes, that's out of whack, but is that not allowed? Like, who are you to say that guy can't get that kind of money? So I don't think that's going to hold up in court as time goes on. It's going to be really hard to enforce everything until these guys are employees, and then that changes the whole equation. But I just don't see how this can continue.
Yeah, it's going to, I mean, the way this is being put out, eventually you have to get to the point where there's not legal challenges because everyone's agreed to it, which is essentially collective bargaining. Can you do that without being employees, being an employee of either the school or potentially the conference or a super conference, like if you're, that might work better. We're this stage where the sport is still evolving and growing. It has to get to a certain spot, and it's not there yet. This is one step. So there'll be challenges of all that. But I mean, the big thing would be schools directly paying players, athletes. And it's a big one. It's a big milestone. Then how it's implemented and the challenges of all that. Like, who's to say if Big Jaw posted something on his Instagram or his Twitter or something, and someone wanted to pay him $100,000, they're like, yeah, one post, you're not supposed to get that. Well, maybe he does, and who's to say if someone wants to pay them for that? So yeah, there's going to be legal challenges to all of it, but these are all just sort of like steps to get to where you're eventually going to be, where everyone just agrees, like, hey, in the NFL, you can't just do what you want. Like Jerry Jones can't pay, Dak Prescott from some outside source and not have it be part of the salary cap. Like there's rules in place, and then he gets dinged draft picks, or there's all things, they've agreed to. This is how the structure works. In college right now, like no one's agreed to that. We don't have like a czar of everything. So we need to get to that point where everyone just sort of agrees. And in this case, maybe the player's getting screwed. In this case, maybe the school's getting screwed. But you've all agreed to it. So this is just the way the rules are. And we just don't have that yet.
But it is always going to be tricky. Just to use Oregon as an example, say there is a cap and we'll call it $60 million per year. That's how much you can give your football roster. That is high when it's only $20.5 million right now for every sport, but let's just use 60 as a number. So Oregon gives out their money to their players, and they obviously are backed by Nike. So what's to stop them from having a guy who otherwise wouldn't sign with Nike if he was at any other school, but he's at Oregon. He's not maybe going to play as a true freshman, but he'll play later, hopefully, and they sign him to a endorsement deal. Like, I think this problem is always going to persist, because even if there is a salary cap in college, like in the NFL, like guys will just sign endorsement deals based on their relationships with their brands, and the owners like have all these business interests, but it's just different. Whereas in college football, a guy who otherwise wouldn't sign an endorsement deal, if that's what it takes outside of the money and the salary cap to get him to go to your school, like there's always going to be outside money is my point. So the schools that are best positioned with these businesses to sign them to endorsement deals, even if there is a salary cap, there can still be money coming from outside of that salary cap. So I don't know how something like this is ever resolved. And it's a very unique situation where the pros, there is that cap, and then the endorsement deals are totally separate. But in college, there's nothing that separates the salary cap from, like, if the school's backed by Nike, here, sign a wink, wink, nod, nod endorsement deal. We'll just give you $5 million more. It's not part of the salary cap. It's an endorsement. It's all about you. And that'll get you to come to that school. So it's very challenging. And until there is a salary cap, and I just think everything needs to be separate. Like, until there's a commissioner, until it's like its own league, that's when you'll get the financial stuff to be totally fair. But that's not coming anytime soon, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, we'll see how fast it comes. But interesting, Riley's kind of comments on that. But yeah, pay attention on Monday. The House settlement gets approved or not, and then legal challenges and all that kind of fun stuff.
With the $20.5 million, though, there was a good article on CBS Sports today. Like, every school has this $20.5 million, but not every school will choose to give the money out the same way. So, like, if you're a Big East basketball team that has no football program, boom, all of a sudden that basketball program is going to have a windfall of cash that other schools with football programs just won't have. With this $20.5 million, if you have a football program and men's and women's basketball, you're almost at a disadvantage, because the football team, it's 85 to 105 guys, however many it is. What can you go up to, 115 or 105?
105 will be the new one. Yeah.
It can be as many as 105 guys. Like, that's a lot of money to be divvying out to a whole bunch of players, where if you just have a basketball team, that is much easier to manage. So right away there's inequality. There are major Title IX concerns with this, where if you give 90% of the money to football, how is that possibly fair? My cousin is a lawyer, and I actually had dinner with him the other night. He's involved in one of these Title IX cases, and he doesn't think anything's going away with this anytime soon. So legal challenges are going to persist until this thing is separate. There's a collective bargaining agreement. There's a commissioner. And, I mean, we've been talking about this for years, Ryan, me and you. Like, these Band-Aid fixes aren't going to work. There
Yeah.
needs to be massive change. And the point that I've always made is I'm very fearful of the massive change, even if it's the right thing to do, because that's going to fundamentally change the thing we love so much.
You worry that it's changing. Even the fans now are upset that players are getting paid and all that.
Yes, but ratings have never been higher. Let me point that out.
Ratings have not been higher, but there's some of the diehard fans just aren't. Kids aren't picking schools for the same reasons that they were before.
Correct.
And sometimes you follow the team because you realize this guy is walking the same halls as you did. Maybe he's taking the classes from the same professor you had. Whatever. Like, a lot of that doesn't matter as much anymore. But people are still watching. It's good. Yeah. Just hold on. It's going to be a wild ride. Things going to change. They keep changing. But yeah, we'll kind of
We'll cover it all.
Yeah, we'll keep covering it. Was there anything else from?
Hopefully, we can get some stuff in the war room too about how USC will pony up that $20.5 million. Like, who will get it, what that percentage will be, because they've been planning for this day for a very long time, and just because it's going to come into effect potentially on Monday, I think like they're not going to be caught with their pants down. They're ready to go.
They're ahead of this. They're planning for the changes,
Yep.
and it's probably going to be in the 75% range
Yeah.
for football, which a lot of schools will do. And the thing is that $20.5 million, if you add new scholarships, so like there's some SEC schools that want to add like 20 scholarships to their baseball team because you can go up to like 35 now. Technically, that money is supposed to come out of the $20.5 million. Well, they also want to fund their football program. So there's going to be a lot of sort of creative accounting and how they're going to do this, how you're going to do that. What percentage? I think you're end up going to have a lot of women athletes making money, but the amounts won't be the same. So I think for Title IX, from my understanding,
Which I don't know how that possibly holds up.
it might be like 50 female athletes and 50 male athletes are getting paid, something along those lines. But the football players are making like, oh, that guy's making $500,000 and she's making $5,000 or whatever.
I made that point to my cousin who represents, he works in federal courts and he has a lot of experience with this, and he just said, I don't know how that could possibly hold up. So,
Well, there was already a Title IX challenge that got shut down already. So like there was something about like, hey, you have to pay men and women equally, and there was like there's no way that's not going to happen.
that Oregon litigation, though, is still continuing, where I think the women's rowing team and the women's volleyball team sued the school for a Title IX complaint, just said, hey, like, the football team's getting way more than we're getting. It's not the same. And, obviously, so that is still being litigated currently, and that may have ramifications here.
Yeah. We had a question. I don't know, was there anything else you wanted to chat about, or we got some questions?
I think we can go to questions.
Scott in Houston emailed in. Thanks, and I didn't mention it at the top, but you could email us podcast@uscfootball.com. If you have a question for the show, let us know it's for this show, or you can call or text us. 424-254-9141 is the number. We appreciate texts and voicemails. It's always fun to hear from you guys. But Scott in Houston said, USC's downfall last season was more on offense, in my estimation. We saw the offense stall too many times, especially on the road. What is your take on Jaden Mayava's running ability, potentially making the offense more dynamic in 2025? Scott in Houston.
That's the reason, or one of the reasons, USC made the switch last year to try to get a guy who could extend plays. He's not a natural runner, but he's strong and he has that scramble ability. So, yeah, I think he'll make the offense more dynamic, and we could see more running plays designed with him. I loved what Notre Dame did with Riley Leonard, where he was just a tank, and on any short yardage situation, it was very hard to stop him. I don't know if Mayava is in that same mold, but he's athletic, he's big, and I do think it would help if they ran him a little bit more. You got to be careful with that because you don't want him to get hurt, of course, but yeah, that can make the offense more dynamic, and that's why Hassan Longstreet is such an exciting prospect and just fits the system so well. At Corona Centennial, his high school, not only did he throw it all over the place, but there were a lot of design runs for him, and I do think that's the perfect fit for what Lincoln Riley wants to do, where if a play breaks down, he might not call as many design runs, but he wants a guy who has that scramble ability to really get down the field. And with Mayava, we saw him extend some plays last season, but he didn't really have any huge runs where it was like, okay, I like this guy really moves well with the ball in his hand. He moved better than Miller Moss, not debating that, and he did extend some plays, but like I think there's a different level that even he could still get to, so we'll see.
Some questions in the chat. Thanks if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube. Trojan fight. How are we feeling on Rideau tomorrow? Did he make it to campus for a visit today? And that Joey also says, what are the odds for running back Rideau tomorrow?
I didn't listen to what he did, but apparently he went on some show and talked about Michigan. Look at what USC football tweeted 2 hours ago. No place like home. Every time someone has committed from here, they put out something like this. He's committing to USC. It would be a shock if he didn't.
Yeah. So looks like he'll end up at USC. So for the questions of that, and our buddy Blackie Chan had a couple of questions. First one, what are the odds that Lincoln Riley names a starting quarterback at the end of spring?
Not high. I just don't think that's how he operates. But, like, it's going to be Maeva, but just based on what's happened here and just how Riley likes to do things, I don't think he'll name one until the fall. But we'll see. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, we'll see, too. I don't think
It's just not what he does.
Yeah, it usually doesn't do that. And one last one. He wants to know, do you think USC is a heavy favorite to land Emmett Mosley?
I have to do some digging on that, but
I'm not sure, yeah.
When you just put everything together, they need another receiver. His brother's committed. I don't think he's going to command a crazy high NIL number like USC is saying David Bailey is, so makes a lot of sense, but I haven't asked anyone. I haven't reached out to anyone, so we'll see. But why not? I think he could really help them.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a nice addition there.
It's funny, when Stanford fired Troy Taylor, so when Alabama, like when Saban retired, I wrote a story, 5 Alabama guys who USC might be interested in the portal. And I tried to do the same with Stanford. I'm looking, they only had 2 guys who were worth a damn, and one was David Bailey and one was Mosley. That's how bad things have gotten there. Like, I'm looking, is there any offensive lineman, any other defensive lineman? What's their PFF?
I mean, they're 3-9 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah, that story would have gotten clicked on, like, if I could just come up with 5, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to get to 5. That's how bad they were. So, yeah, the 2 guys who are out there, David Bailey, USC, not in on him, but Emmett Mosley, I think they should be in on him.
Stanford's dynamic duo or something in the portal, but that's it. Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's the portal probably won't be as exciting this spring. Was it April 15th? Is it open? Is it tax day or is it later? I don't remember when it is. Sorry, let me put you on the spot there. But
I'll Google it.
Yeah, just check it out. But probably won't be as exciting, but who knows? Whenever you think it's not going to be as exciting, like USC gets like a starting quarterback or something out of the portal, like that would be shocking. But yeah,
it would be unprecedented and it would be shocking. April 16th through April 25th.
Okay, so the day after. So USC will still be in spring practice when the portal opens. That's like Easter weekend, I think, because I'm probably flying back. Yeah, to Milford. So if you guys don't know, Connor and I are from like towns next to each other in Massachusetts.
Crazy.
Like outside of Boston. Franklin and Milford, yeah. And my mom was kind of guilt-tripping me, so I'm probably going to fly back for Easter and go see her and some family and stuff. But portal will be open, so I might be like busy. That's when the portal opens, so I'll be like on a plane, like figuring out stuff, kind of nutty.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter from everyone in Massachusetts. Yeah, go Pats. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, that was good. I think that was a tight show. I know it was a weird Friday because we Big Jaw could do it on Friday, so we apologize if you normally watch us live earlier in the week, but you got something to listen to over the weekend if you're listening to later.
It's good to space out our shows because sometimes we go Wednesday, 2-Star goes Wednesday. There's a lot of stuff. Even Shotgun and I will do the triple-double Wednesday a lot of the time. So, yeah, it's nice to spread some things out. it's good to spread it out. It's good to get you in the office here on a Friday. We're going to work on more guests. Talk to your fearless leader, Judd Cohen, the athletic director. She said when basketball ends, potentially coming on. So I'll hint at that. We'll try to get her. We had her in studio shortly after she was hired, right? Yeah. I think she came in. Yeah. So we'll try to get her to come in into the studio and chat a little. A lot has been going on
especially if the house settlement is finalized, kind of get her thoughts on some of that stuff. So that'll be great. So hopefully we'll be able to get her on, and we'll do some other interviews. I'm blanking on Harry, the voice of the Trojans on the Spanish side.
Harry Ruiz.
Harry Ruiz. We've talked about getting him on. So if you had questions for him, I got to reach out to him again. We talked about when the season ends. He does the Raiders also, so he kind of goes back and forth, USC and the Raiders. But he's a really fun guy to talk to. And I mean, listening to sports in Spanish, I don't even speak Spanish, but it's so much better. It sounds so cool.
Especially when big things happen. Yeah. Goal and touchdown.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, Blackie said, will you get Riley on the show? Yeah, so Riley Sager, we've talked about that. She's come in to the studio before. But yeah, we'll try to get
You
her
might be
on.
asking about Lincoln Riley.
Oh, is it Lincoln Riley? No, the new intern.
Oh.
It says she followed up with a new intern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know it's like Lincoln Riley or a Riley. Yeah, I'd love to get Lincoln Riley on. We'll see. We'll see if we can we get him on. But yeah, so it's good stuff. But all right, well, that's gonna wrap. It's a happy Friday, everybody. Enjoy the weekend. We appreciate you coming on and being a part of it. And thanks again. We got to do for Big John. He was amazeballs. Yeah, he was great. Like so good to get him on the show. So we got some big guys represented. We did
Big General and Big Ja.
Yeah, interior of the offensive line and interior of the defensive line back to back. So great stuff. And again, thanks to shout out to House of Victory for setting those up. All right, for Connor Morrissette, I am Ryan Abraham. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.